What is up, YouTube people? It's your boy Patty Ninja, and you're getting a double dose of Patty this week. So a couple hours after I posted my Twitter video earlier this week, they actually announced the nominees for this year's Game Awards, and I had some thoughts. So without further ado, let's rock. All right, so a couple of disclaimers before we get started. Obviously, these are my opinions. Just because I say I prefer one game over another in a particular category does not mean I dislike that other game. These are all great games. They're nominated for a reason. So I would love to hear your opinions of these games in the comments below, but let's keep it civil. And then secondly, I do play a lot of games. Obviously, this channel is dedicated to my opinions about gaming. I do a lot of gaming in my free time, but I also have a day job. I also have a wife. I also have pets that I like to hang out with. So I do play a lot, but I can't play everything. So there are gonna be categories where I'm not gonna have as much to say as others. So just keep that in mind as we go along. All right, so let's get to voting. I'm just gonna put it out on Front Street for you guys. I like that esports is a thing. It just isn't my cup of tea. I'm not gonna yuck anybody's yum and say that esports sucks or it's boring or whatever. It's just not my thing. I like that people enjoy it, and anything that gets gaming more popular, I'm all for. It's not my thing, so I'm not gonna vote on those categories. So the first category I'm gonna vote on is most anticipated game, which I think is a fun category, but there's not a whole lot to say about the game because we haven't got to play the game. I am not a Final Fantasy guy. I just never really got into those games. I've played a little bit of the early games, but I never really got into those games. So obviously I'm not excited for that game, but I know obviously there is a huge fan base. So I'm sure that's gonna be most people's answer. Now I'm kind of torn about Hogwarts Legacy. I'm a big fan of Harry Potter. My wife and I rewatch those movies at least once a year, but I have my personal issues with the creator, and it just kind of feels dirty. This game, I don't know. I want to like it. I think that the game looks cool. I think that there is definitely enough there to make a cool Harry Potter type of game, but I don't know. I cannot compartmentalize my feelings for her. So yeah, I really wish I was more excited for that game. So Resident Evil 4 remake, I love the remakes. They've been awesome. RE3 was okay, but the rest of the remakes have been great. And I know that there's a huge fan base for RE4. I personally prefer Village, but I am definitely excited for the RE4 remake. Starfield is cool. It looks very good. It looks like, I know this is the lazy comparison, but it looks like Skyrim in space, and I'm all for that. I loved No Man's Sky, and I get very strong No Man's Sky vibes from Starfield, so I'm definitely excited for that. However, my vote is going to be The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Breath of the Wild is one of the best games ever made, so I am definitely excited for this one. So we will talk about best adaptation, which again, it's cool that it's in here, but you're not really talking about video games. You're talking about movies and TV, which is, it's fine. It's bringing a little bit more pop culture to the Game Awards, so I appreciate that. I have heard a ton of great things about Arcane. I'm not a League player, so I just kind of wrote it off as like, I'm not going to get it, but I have heard from people that haven't played League of Legends that have watched the show and think it's awesome. So I'm definitely going to check it out. Same thing with Cyberpunk. I did play that game, but I just haven't gotten around to watching the show. The Cuphead show, I am a huge fan of that game, especially the DLC. Now that the DLC is out, it's such a good game. It probably, if I really sat down and thought about my top 10 favorite video games of all time, it's been a few years since I've really considered that list. Cuphead probably makes that list. I love this game. I watched the first few episodes of the Cuphead show, and I just couldn't get into it because it just feels like it's not made for me. It feels definitely like your stereotypical cartoon that's geared towards kind of the younger audience, and that's definitely not what the game is. So I just couldn't get into it. Sonic the Hedgehog 2, I really enjoy these movies for what they are. They're really, really fun. So I was definitely happy that they did the redesign. And I'm glad that Jim Carrey kind of gets to be full Jim Carrey like Ace Ventura. And I think they're just really, really fun. They're silly, but I have a lot of fun when I watch them. Uncharted, unfortunately, I never really got into that movie. The story it left much to be desired. I did like Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg's chemistry in the movie, but for the most part, I wasn't a big fan. So my vote's gonna go to Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Let's go best debut indie. I'm gonna move through some of these categories a little bit quicker, especially this one because I've only played Stray. I will say that Narco, I've heard really good things, and I think that it's either just got on Game Pass or it's about to come on Game Pass. So I'm definitely looking forward to playing that. My vote will be Stray. I will say that I've heard really good things about Tunic and Vampire Survivors. I've heard from people that have Steam Deck that it's like the go-to game to play on Steam Deck. So eventually when I do get a Steam Deck, that's gonna be a game that I'm gonna check out, but I've not played it yet. So Stray's the only one that I've played, and it's so good. I like the idea of playing as a stray cat. I think it's such a cool idea, and it's a little bit more of a bummer of a game than I thought it was gonna be, but it's just adorable. It's so much fun. It's exactly what you would want from a game where you play as a cat, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. So I definitely appreciate that as well. Obviously, being a content creator, I don't have a ton of time to watch other content creators. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip that category. I will say that I do like Ludwig, but he's the only one nominated that I had actually ever watched. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip that one. So we'll be on to the best multiplayer. And this is one that I'm kind of torn because I've only played 2 games, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and Shredder's Revenge. Shredder's Revenge is the best game in this category. It's one of the best games this year. However, we're talking about multiplayer, and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, even though it's kind of just a mid Call of Duty game for me, it's a Call of Duty game. It's exactly what you would expect from a Call of Duty game. But it's the game that you think of when you think of multiplayer. And this is a multiplayer category, even though I think Shredder's Revenge is a fantastic game. It's definitely in my top 5 this year. And I'm a huge TMNT fan. I love the old arcade game. I'm really digging the Cowabunga collection. But it's not really a multiplayer game. Yes, there is a multiplayer aspect to it, and I will say that I did play a little bit on multiplayer, and it's seamless. I did play it the weekend it came out, so I don't know if it was just because there was a ton of people playing it. I don't know if it's as seamless now, considering it's probably not as popular, but the multiplayer does work really well. But when you think of multiplayer out of all these games, at least the 2 games that I've played, it's Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. But again, Shredder's Revenge is the better game. Just we're talking about multiplayer as the category, so I feel like I have to go with Call of Duty. So we will go on to best sports and racing. I don't think I've played any of these games. No, I will say that I hope that Ollie Ollie World wins. I haven't played any of these games. It just looks adorable, and I've heard really good things, and it looks a lot like a lot of fun. But I'm not into really sports games that much, so I'll go ahead and skip that one. Best sim and strategy. This is another one where I haven't played any of these games. I am pretty excited, or like, not necessarily excited because I haven't played the game, but like, I am interested in Dune Spice Wars because I did really, I've read the first Dune book and the movie was really good. At least part 1 was really good. So I'm definitely interested in it, but I haven't played it yet. So we'll go ahead and skip that one as well. Best family. So for me, there's only 2 games I've played. I did a full review on this channel for Kirby and the Forgotten Land. It is a very good Kirby game, but for me, it's Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. I love that game. It's so much fun. The the way that you're able to play through all of the Skywalker Star Wars games, or movies, excuse me. And it just has so much personality, and there's so much exploring and collecting that you can do. There's a ton of cool stuff that you can do in that game. So for me, it knocked it out of the park. I'm not even a big Lego video game fan, but I really enjoyed this game. Best fighting, I don't know if I've played any of these games. I did watch one of my buddies who also has a Twitch channel, that John Huff, really cool guy. You definitely checking him out if you like to watch Twitch. He did play Sifu, and it looked really, really cool. I like the idea of every time that you die, you get older. I think that's such a cool concept, but I haven't played it myself, so we'll go ahead and skip that category as well. Best role playing. So for me, there's two, Pokemon Legends and Elden Ring. I liked the idea of Pokemon Legends because I'm a huge Pokemon fan, but the one thing that I always complaining about is that the games just feel like they're just the same thing over and over again, and they haven't wanted to like grow up with their core base. They're more worried about getting the younger generation into Pokemon, and this Pokemon Legend Arceus, it felt like it was the first attempt at them to kind of grow up the franchise, and so I definitely appreciated that. The open world stuff didn't work as well as I wanted it to, and it doesn't look great. I just don't think that they're ever going to make a good looking Pokemon game on the Switch, but they tried. I mean, it was a good attempt. I hope that they continue kind of building on this game. It was a good first step, but there's definitely some improvement to be made. But it's Elden Ring for sure. I mean, Elden Ring is one of the best games. Not only is it one of the best games this year, it's probably one of those generational type of games, and it's gonna clean up. It's just a phenomenal game. I know it wasn't everybody's cup of tea because it is kind of difficult, but I think because of the open world aspect, it's not as difficult as some of the other Soulsborne games have been in the past. So that's going to be my vote. I'm going to try to mix it up a little bit. I know Elden Ring's nominated for quite a few games, or quite a few categories, excuse me, and I'm going to try not to give them everything, but it's going to be hard not to because it's such a good game. So we'll go best action adventure game, which I'm surprised that Elden Ring isn't nominated for this one, but I've played all but one. I have not played Tunic, as I mentioned earlier. It looks awesome, and I've heard good things. I just haven't gotten around to it. Plague Tale Requiem, I did a full review on this channel. It's a phenomenal game. I really enjoyed it. The beginning kind of feels a little tedious with some of the puzzles, but once you start getting more equipment, it kind of opens up the game, and it's a phenomenal game. The storytelling is great. The relationship between the brother and the sister is phenomenal. Writing and performances, and we'll get to that here in a little bit. I literally just streamed some more God of War Ragnarok before I started recording this. It's a great game. It's really, really fun, but I've only put like 5 hours into it, so I can't really, I feel like it's gonna clean up at the Game Awards, but I don't know if anyone's even, like a good chunk of the audience is even gonna have beaten it yet, because it's a longer game, and the Game Awards is in a few weeks, and I know I probably won't beat it because I'm only playing it on stream. So I do think that it's gonna win a lot of awards, but a lot of people won't have at least finished it by the time the Game Awards comes around. Horizon Forbidden West, if it wasn't for Elden Ring, I think a lot of people would be talking more and more about this game as being game of the year. It just kind of got overshadowed. The entire gaming community kind of just went absolute ape shit for Elden Ring, and they forgot about how good Forbidden West is. And then I've already talked about Stray. I love that Stray's nominated for a lot of these bigger categories, but I think it's going to get overshadowed just because it's a shorter game. So I think, man, it's, for me, it's between Plague Tale and Forbidden West. It's most likely by the time I get done with God of War, it'll probably be God of War, but I'm only 5 hours into it, so I can't really give it to that. So I'm going to give it to Forbidden West. So that was action adventure. We'll go to action. Elden Ring's not nominated for this game, for this category either. It's Shredder's Revenge for sure. I want to say that Shredder's Revenge, this is the only other category it's nominated for, which is a shame. So again, the only 2 games I've played in this category are Call of Duty and Shredder's Revenge. And I've already talked about how Shredder's Revenge is a better game, but I voted for Call of Duty because Call of Duty is more of that stereotypical multiplayer game. I'm not going to do VR. I don't have VR, so I'm not going to do that. Innovation and accessibility, I'm going to go ahead and skip that. I'm an able-bodied person. I don't really have to dive into the accessibility. I do say I did do a video about some of the accessibility options in The Last of Us Part 1. I know that they make a big deal out of that, so it is cool. I do appreciate that, but I don't know that much about all of these other games as far as their accessibility options to really have a strong opinion. Best community support. Oh, so these are all like ongoing games. I would say No Man's Sky, just because I love how they just didn't give up on that game. So I'm going to give it a vote. I don't play Fortnite anymore. I don't play Apex Legends anymore. I never got into Destiny 2. So I'll just go ahead and throw it to No Man's Sky just because I love that they just didn't give up on that game. It would have been really easy for them to do that and kind of move on, and I really appreciate that they didn't give up. And that game is really, really good. I don't play mobile games, so I'll just go ahead and skip that. Best indie, I don't think I played any of these. Oh, yeah, of course I did. I played Stray. And like I said, Sifu looks really cool. Haven't played it. Tunic, the same. Haven't played it. Never even heard of these other 2. So my vote, of course, is going to be for Stray. Best ongoing. I don't really play ongoing games, so yeah, I don't play any of these games anymore. Games for Impact. I've not heard of any of these games, so yeah, I'm gonna have to skip this one as well. Best performance. So again, I haven't played that much of God of War Ragnarök, but they're both really, really good in the game, at least so far, and they were great in the first game, but I can't, as much as I want to give it, especially to Christopher Judge, because he's such a good performer as Kratos. But again, I've only played like 5 hours of the game. I love Ashley Birch in the Horizon games. She's really good, and she's also really, really good in Mythic Quest. If you've not seen that show, it's an Apple TV Plus series about a studio making video games, and it's really, really funny, and she's so good in that. But I think it's got to be A Plague Tale Requiem. Charlotte McBurney, hopefully I pronounced her name correctly. She is so good as Amicia, and so that's going to be my vote. Like, one of my favorite things about that game, among a lot of things, because it's a great game, is the relationship between Amicia and Hugo. That relationship just hit really hard for me, and I think a lot of that has to do with the writing, of course, but also her performance. So best audio design, I feel like it's between Forbidden West, Elden Ring, and Modern Warfare 2. For me, I didn't play any of Gran Turismo. I'm not a fan of those. I know that I'm sure that there is a lot of great audio design because it's a racing game, so there's got to be a lot of that in those types of games. I have played those games in the past. I'm just not a fan of Gran Turismo. Call of Duty is cool because, I mean, you have to, like, obviously it's a shoot 'em up, so you have all that going on. There's a lot of chaos in those types of games, but for me, it's Elden Ring. It's gotta be Elden Ring. They're gonna get a lot of my vote. I know I said that I was gonna try not to, but it's Elden Ring for sure. I think it's Elden Ring on this one. as well. I don't remember A Plague Tale Requiem's music as much. It's definitely not a thing that I remember during the game. Again, I haven't played enough Ragnarok to know. The other two games I have not played at all. So it's Elden Ring. Again, I'm doing the exact same thing that I said I was gonna try not to do. So this one's tough for me because I feel like I want to give it to Elden Ring again. Scorn was really cool. The art direction was really cool. I had issues with the game itself, with the combat mostly. I will say the art direction is really cool. It's kind of like a mixture of flesh and machine, a lot of the areas. I will say that some of the areas kind of tended to blend together for me. So that would be my only knock on it. I mean, I want to give more votes to Forbidden West, but for me, it's gotta be Elden Ring for sure. I mean, I know I'm breaking the thing that I said I wasn't gonna do. This is one category where I will not vote for Elden Ring. The story is cool, don't get me wrong, but that's not what makes Elden Ring so good. It's an added bonus, but it's not the main thing that drew me to that game and draws many people to the game. So for me, at the end of the day, it's probably going to be Ragnarok when I eventually beat it. I'm already digging the story so far. I loved the story in the 2018 game, but I gotta go Plague Tale. It's such a good story. Again, I love the relationship between the two of them. Forbidden West is also a really good story, but it's a sequel. I mean, I guess they're both sequels, but I just dig the relationship between the two of them more in this game than Forbidden West. Best game direction, I think I'm gonna go with Elden Ring again. I mean, I'm really digging Ragnarok, but again, I can't vote for a game that I've only played 5 hours of. So it's Elden Ring again. And game of the year, I mean, as you probably have already guessed, it's most likely going to be Elden Ring. I love that Stray got a nomination. I know I'm going to be upsetting some fans, but I never really got into Xenoblade. That's just not my cup of tea. I would have really liked if Shredder's Revenge got a nod in game of the year, because I love that game. I know that's just a personal thing. Most people probably don't agree with me. If I had my choice, you'd swap out Xenoblade for Shredder's Revenge. But outside of that, I don't really have too many complaints. I think everything else is well deserved. I'm glad that Stray got it. Again, it's going to be kind of overshadowed because it's a shorter game. It sucks that I can't give Ragnarok more votes, or I don't think I gave it any votes because I just haven't played it enough. But it's got to be Elden Ring. Like, as much as I like Plague Tale and I like Forbidden West, and I think if Forbidden West came out any other year, people would be talking about it more. But again, it just came out right around the same time as Elden Ring. I don't remember if it was before or after, but it was like a few weeks between the two of them, and I kind of wish that they would have had a little bit more foresight and kind of released them a little bit, staggered them a little bit more. But not only was Elden Ring the best game this year, but it might be one of the best games ever made. It's so good. All right, there you have it. Those are my votes for the Game Awards this year. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you do, smash that like button. As the kids say, consider subscribing. If you do subscribe, ding that bell. That way you get notified every time I post a video. I try to post weekly gaming related content, so definitely consider subscribing. But until next time, take it easy. What's up, YouTube people? It's your boy Patty McNinja, and this is my boy Yoshi, aka Kitty Boy, and we were just talking, and we agree that since you made it this far in the video, you might as well subscribe. You wouldn't want to disappoint Kitty Boy, would you?